we have a bit of a recap when Andrew was talking about layers of sound. So just to, we're about building worlds. The only way you build worlds is from the bottom up. We build the worlds. We start with, obviously, the dialogue is your most important top layer. Remember, Michaeli said dialogue is king on location. Collecting clean, pristine dialogue on location is what every location sound mixer should be doing. That gets passed through the edit and is tweaked about to match the edit, maybe little bits replaced, half a word there, half a word here by very talented dialogue editors. Then lots of effects are laid underneath, but still, even in your mix, if you're mixing to picture, dialogue is still king, apart from with occasional exceptions, Tenet. The most producers, most directors want the dialogue to be pristine and heard because it's meaningful. Occasionally you get phrases that can be lost, but most of the time, I think of mixes like a washing line. And actually, I do my mixes like a washing line. I start a little bit loud. I go a little bit down in the middle, depending on maybe, dynamic changes with explosions. But the general shape of the mix goes, this is a gross generalization. Louder at the front because I'm a TV mixer. I'm coming out of the news, or I'm coming out of an advert, or I'm coming out of pres, as they call them, presentation, who are loud. So I'll start off a bit loud, go a bit quieter in the middle and go loud at the end because we're going back in. I don't want my program to sound quieter. Obviously, if there's really tender scenes that you're starting with, you don't do that, or finishing with, but as a general rule, that's the shape. Atmospheres, they're the backgrounds to it. We'll come on to a bit more detail what the constituents and how we put them together. The effects, these are adding the character and the detail, as you heard in the scene with Monsters, Inc. They were really, and particularly if you watch Ben Burt talk about Wall-E, the character of Eve is made up of her sound effects. There's no dialogue, but her character comes through by the sound effects that you're attaching to this character. And Foley, little more detail on that in the minutes, but that's like, in terms of carrying on, Andrew and I like our food analogies. I wonder why, I can't think. Michaeli didn't, because you're far thinner, But the food analogies of baking, where you've got your base ingredients like your flour and everything being your atmospheres, the flavouring of maybe putting some apples in there, and then the Foleys are the sprinkles on top. Often music. I'm lucky enough to have won an award, won a BAFTA for the only natural history unit and the only natural history film I've ever mixed that had no music. And there are not many films out there that don't have any music. It was one of David Attenborough's Life of Birds, and it was about birdsong. And the producer said, all I want is the music at the beginning and the music over the credits. I don't want any music in the program because the music is the birdsong. I want birdsong to be the underlying music track of this film. And, I think natural history unit producers need to take note that the BAFTA we won was for a program that had no music in. Be a bit more brave, just leave the music out. I know Andrew's the same as myself. We think that many programs, particularly documentaries, are plastered in music. Who are composers in the room? Composers. Don't plaster it all in music. Give us a chance to get the effects through. It's a two-way street. Give me my moment. So music is effective when it's there for a reason and it starts and finishes, not when it joins on to the next piece and it just is like. And I heard Andrew use an analogy the other day. It's like having your first course, and then in a posh restaurant they come up and say, "Yes, your duck is coming soon, sir." But until the duck comes, you've got to eat. You've got to drink soup. You've got to keep going with the soup. But I don't want to. But you've got to, because you can't stop eating. So it's good when music finishes and then starts up again. makes it more effective when it is used. And I think most dubbing mixers like myself and Andrew don't feel we've won unless we've taken at least 2 lines of commentary out of something and at least 1 piece of music. Because the editor and the producer have had the film and it's had no sound in the background very often, apart from maybe sync dialogue, if it has any, but in natural history terms, maybe mute. So they've got a bit nervous and plastered it with music, front to end. Often there's a voiceover and a commentary, which is as important as any of your dialogue in the piece. It needs to be heard. So when you're mixing, you don't want to drown it. It's like a vocal. I know there are different styles of mixing, and sometimes vocals can be a bit hard to hear in music. But if the words in the vocals are needed and interesting and driving the narrative of the song, you don't want to drown them. It's the same in mixing for TV.